Welcome to Christian Women Rising. We are so excited to have you here. Pastor Elaine Briefman is a trained professional speaker, mentor, and author. She is also a licensed marriage and family therapist for the state of California and trains Christian women leaders how to crush self-doubt and speak with professional impact. Hosting international speakers and online events, Pastor Elaine encourages the woman called to leadership to accept the divine invitation to leave an eternal legacy. And so, without further ado, I am going to bring on Pastor Elaine. And if we can give her a round of applause as she joins us tonight. There she is.
Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, thank you, Nancy, so much.
Welcome. You're welcome. We are so excited to have you here tonight and ready for this presentation that you have for us. If you could take just a moment before we get started and tell us why this presentation is so important for everybody watching.
Well, I just honestly, and I know you guys know this, those of you who know me, that when you're done with tonight, beyond the shadow of a doubt, you will know that your uniqueness is valuable, that the enemy is a liar, and that you can actually walk boldly in your uniqueness and truly make an impact. And if honestly, if you stay on and you take good notes and you employ what we're teaching you tonight, that will be true for you. And that's what makes this so exciting for me. This is why I love to do what I do. So thank you so much. Everybody give Nancy a hand for like putting in the time, effort, and energy of just being there for us. So I really appreciate that.
Super awesome. I am going to go ahead and shut off my webcam. I am so excited to hear everything you have for us tonight. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and yeah, we're ready.
Yay! Now the reason why I asked Nancy to do that is because she's going to be hopefully answering questions in the chat, and she's also helping doing some of the tech behind the scenes. And it was better for her not to be doing that and looking all over the place while the speakers are listening or speaking. And so what I really am going to do is tell you a little bit about myself. So some of you have not heard my story, so I'm going to do a little bit of story. But what I want you to do during the duration of this event is actually pay attention to everything that we do and how we do it, as well as what we say. Because if you genuinely want to make an impact, to model, we're trying to model for you specifically things that you can do today that will help you make an impact today and for the days ahead. So really pay attention to what we say, but also pay attention to what we're doing and how we do it. Most of the stuff that you'll see here are things that you can do. So I think everybody in here can run a Zoom room. And it's really important for you just to know that all the people that are in my masterclass that are participating in the leadership today, I didn't know them a year and a half ago. I didn't know them at all. And they'll be coming on here and just talking about the community of mentorship. So learning how to be able to connect with other people who are on that journey with you in a mentorship style. We help each other. So yes, I do a lot of the leadership, but then they help each other. And it's really been an amazing journey. So again, pay attention to as much of what's happening tonight as possible. And so I wanted to introduce you to Barry, and he's like, I don't know if you guys have ever had like a dog that's in your bed who like just like takes over the bed. And I've been sitting here like fighting with Barry for like a half an hour. It's like, you know what, can I please have a little bit of space? And so Barry goes with me to a lot of my events. He actually traveled across country with me as my sidekick, and kind of has that Eeyore kind of mentality. But I just wanted him to be able to hop on here and say hi. He's very proud of all the ladies that are participating tonight. And some of you do know who the, that we do have a guest speaker that's coming on very late in the end, that you got that email that tells us who that was. And so I appreciate Nancy's ability to kind of hold that in. We weren't going to tell anybody and just and have the speaker just show up just for fun, but we really knew that some of you guys would really like to know who that is. So I'm going to set Barry aside right now so that I can have my chair back. And we had all of our speakers tonight wear crowns because we're children of the King. We are all children of the King. And as children of the King, we are princesses, and so that we can wear a crown and do that boldly and confidently. And so whenever you get a chance, go to the Dollar Tree, get yourself a crown and wear it. And Nancy was commenting earlier about how she was wearing hers for practice, and her husband's like, why are you wearing a crown? So it's okay. It's okay to wear your crown around the house. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself for those of you who don't know me. And I tell the story, and it kind of starts off a little rough, but it has a really great ending. So when I was about 8 years old, my mom called me into the living room. And so I figured I was in trouble for something. And so I walked down the hallway. And when I got there, she was standing in the doorway, and I could see past her, my dad sitting on the couch behind the newspaper. And my mom looked down at me and she says, your brother tells me that your dad's been doing stuff to you. Is that true? And I kind of like freaked out a little bit because I wasn't what I was expecting. And I was afraid I was going to get in trouble. And I'm like, I can't lie to my mom, but I'm supposed to lie, but I didn't know what to do. And so I just said yes. And my mom looked at my dad and said, is that true? And he says, I don't know what she's talking about. And he never looked up from the newspaper ever. And nothing ever changed. And when we're lied about or lied to, and we receive those lies, they can do a lot of damage, and they can mess us up. And I know that's what it did to me. And I mean, it really messed me up. And so I did what any good mess up person would do. I became a licensed marriage and family therapist and an ordained pastor. So I became Pastor Elaine, professional codependent. And you would think, I mean, I had like 13 years of personal therapy, and then I had 11 years of college, and I did professional therapy for 17 years, as well as multiple years of being a pastor, that I would be able to like help people. Like, and my clients were still getting stuck, and I was really frustrated about that. So one day I was sitting on my couch and just asking, I wasn't actually praying. I remember that clearly, because when it happened, I wasn't praying. I was just sitting there thinking, why? And I heard these two words. Now I want you, if there's nothing you remember about this entire event, I want you to remember these two words: identity abuse. So I'm sitting on my couch thinking, why are people getting stuck? And I hear identity abuse. And I'm like, what is that? I would have never put those two words together. I had heard of sexual abuse and physical abuse, but I'd never heard of identity abuse. And what I realized was that my identity was abused before I was old enough to even know I had an identity. So I lived with the lie because it felt true. And when you think about that, think about believing lies because they feel true. So I went back to my clients and I started explaining to them about identity abuse and how they were believing lies, and just watching them be freed from these lies, and just understanding that. And what I ended up doing was I made a course called Identity Abuse Busters that just really walked people through. Yes, Renee, it was really interesting. I went to a professional brander in Southern California, like this guy who works for Disney. And he says, oh, you need to drop identity abuse. And I'm like, but God gave me those words. And so many people resonate with those two words. If you've had your identity abused, you know what's happening. I mean, those words resonate with you. And so you can go to pastorelaine.com. You can go to Fishing for Joy. It all takes you to identityabuse.com. Most people don't know that. But so I made this course, and what I realized was that there's three things that it covers, and we're going to cover these here. So the first one is your uniqueness is valuable. So most of you who came into this know this already. Your uniqueness is valuable. The second one is the enemy is going to lie to you every moment of every day. And the third is you can choose to believe truth. And so I had this program, and I was super excited about it, but I was in this tiny little church out in the middle of nowhere, and I couldn't seem to like get the message out, and I was frustrated. And so what I was on a hill one day, and I made this little video, and I had over 1,200 people. I actually think it has like over 2,000 views now of this little video that I made. And it dawned on me, I can either stay where I'm at and to keep ministering to these same 65 people in this tiny little church, or I can do something different and lean into this new information and go and spread it the way I believe God asked me to do it. And that's what created in me this desire to just go out there and try new things, because the message was so powerful. Every time I share the story, people are impressed by that. So what I created was a masterclass for Christian women to help them through identity abuse. Also then teach them how to have professional speaker skills, and then moving on into learning how to find their own audiences, and then creating a lifestyle. And when I lifestyle, I don't talk about money. I mean, being able to live every day doing what God has called you to do. So each of the ladies that are going to share tonight are going to talk about one of those things. So those are the basic things that every influencer needs to have. So the first one is mindset. The second is heart posture. So you have your mindset. This is the thinking part, and heart posture is your spiritual part, and then skill set. The next one is pursuit. Where I'm going to go pursue the people, find the people that need to hear what I have to say. And the last one is lifestyle. And so each one of the ladies that are going to be coming up now are going to speak on one of those. And so I'm not watching my clock really well. And so right now, we're going to bring on Diana, and she's going to share with us the mindset section. And so I hope that you're taking notes. So I'm going to do this really quick, Diana, and I know I'm running late. I'm going to do this really quick because I promise you, this is something I want you to scribble down. I want you to draw. Everybody who's got a note, I want you to draw this picture. Draw this picture right now. Okay, it's a big letter I with the scribbles all around it. So just draw that on your piece of paper. Lots of scribbles. And what this represents is who you are, and these are the feelings and thoughts that you have about yourself. I'm unimportant. I'm not worthy. I'm unlovable. And typically there's negative. So the reason why I want you to draw this is because I want you to draw this for somebody else sometime this week. So these are the kind, it just feels like it owns you. But that's a lie, and this is reality. I am having a feeling. I'm having a feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of discomfort, a feeling of isolation, being unlovable. I'm just having that feeling. This moment right here is where you get to choose. What am I going to do with that feeling? Am I going to receive it and identify with it, or am I going to kick to the curb, bring it to Jesus? You get to decide. So again, I want you to write that down and share it with somebody this week. All right. So Diana, are you ready?
I'm ready. Can everyone hear me? Awesome. So hello, I am Diana Teal, and the Elite MasterClass has allowed me to take action. And I'm thrilled to be with you here this evening, and I get to speak to you about mindset. And I'll share my journey with you, why I joined, where I was before I joined, and what I learned. But just a little about myself before we get started. I am saved by grace. I am overcoming perfectionism. I'm in full-time ministry at my local church. I am an aspiring Christian woman speaker, and I really am named after a princess. But my tiara is rather uncomfortable, so forgive me if I take it off later. So why did I join? Well, COVID was scary. And I don't know about you, but it was my first global pandemic. And nothing was certain, and daily life had just radically changed. I didn't feel in control, and I was overwhelmed. Can anyone else relate? If you can, just type yes in the chat. And so I knew I had a few choices in how I reacted to COVID. I could A, panic and curl up in the fetal position. I could B, Netflix and chill, or C, I could use this time for personal development and come out of COVID better than I was before. So I thought about A, but I didn't do it. I did a little bit of choice B. Can anyone say Marvel Marathon? But I embraced choice C. I wanted to come out of COVID a better version of myself. Why? Honestly, I was afraid what would happen to me if I didn't have something positive to focus on. You see, I'm very aware of my strengths and weaknesses, but I didn't know what was holding me back. And I lacked clarity and vision for the future. I felt lost and stuck. Anyone else? That was me. And so I knew in order for anything in my life to change, I needed to get help. Help from where I was to where I wanted to be. And Facebook came to the rescue. I know it's probably not what you expected me to say, but in April of 2020, I found a Facebook group, and the leader was hosting a 30-day challenge on how we could rise up. And this was rising up in every area of life and business. And you'll never guess who I met. Okay, maybe you can guess. Pastor Elaine. Elaine and I were able to connect, and she shared with me her desire to help Christian women, really, especially those in ministry. And so she invited me into her Crush Self-Doubt Challenge. And I was like, yes, please sign me up. I was determined to be done with self-doubt. And so in order for you to know why I was so excited to join Pastor Elaine's challenge, let me back up. and share where I was before. So before COVID and my background. All my life, I have dealt with perfectionism and a really loud inner critic. For all of you Enneagram fans out there, I'm a 1. And growing up, I was always the new kid at school. So I felt like I had to be perfect to be accepted and liked. And the world, right? It just has these impossible pressures and comparisons. And I felt like I had to be perfect to measure up to the world's standards. But also the church I was raised in, it taught me I had to work to earn God's love and forgiveness. And that if I made a mistake, I had to make it right. This and more led me to desiring perfection, strive for these high standards and overachievement. I became extremely critical of myself. If I made a mistake, I would just beat myself up if it was anything less than just this incredible result. And it also made me reluctant to go after new things. So unless I was absolutely sure I would succeed, I didn't do it. So my mindset became, I'm not good enough. I'll never measure up. Who can, right? So I doubted my capabilities. And because I doubted myself, it kept me stuck. It kept me playing small, and it kept me from taking risks for fear of failure. And I wanted to be free. And so I joined the masterclass, and what I learned over this past year, I've narrowed it down to 3 things because really, guys, there's so much. But these 3 things are: first, I learned that my uniqueness makes me valuable, right? You've already heard that tonight. My uniqueness makes me valuable. I choose to believe what God says about me. And this one's hard because I've always tried to blend in and not stand out. But if God counts a relationship with me worth the death of his son, then I am that worthy, right? I am that valuable. And you are too. Second, I learned to crush self doubt, okay? To crush it. I can overcome the doubt that has kept me stuck and not living out the best version of myself. I choose to stop believing the lies and start believing truth. I can be set free. And third, I learned I have a message to share. I want to say that again. I have a message to share. How will lives be changed if I don't speak up and share my message? Right? 0. So I want to live a life worthy of the calling that I have received. Life is too short. And so do not wait to start. The time will never be just right. And I want to live out my purpose. So the result of this masterclass, see, it's tilting. The result has been, it's allowed me to take action. Ladies, I have started. I can do Facebook Lives now. I can share my trademark talk. I'm writing an ebook. I never thought I would. And I've purchased a domain. I can't talk. I purchased a domain name and an email. And I'm speaking on stages like this one, even though it scares the crap out of me sometimes. I've also been able, as a result, to gain clarity, because clarity comes from doing. The more I do, the clearer things become. And I have a BHAG. And for those who don't know, BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. And so I want to help Christian women overcome the trap of perfectionism so that they can be set free. Why? Because that's my mess and that's my message. And so just to recap, why I joined was to grow and become a better version of myself. Where I was stuck. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't growing. And what I learned is that I can have the right mindset. I'm done with perfectionism. Okay, I want to say that again. I'm done with perfectionism. So I've been able to overcome doubt as a result, and I've been able to start. And so just take a moment. Imagine with me what your life would look like if you were freed from self-doubt. If you no longer thought, I'm not good enough. If you no longer had imposter syndrome, like who am I to do this? If you no longer had that loud voice inside of you telling you all the reasons why you can't do something. Imagine if you had the proper mindset. What would you do? Who could you impact? What if you didn't have to do this alone? And ladies, I'm not done yet. I'm still learning. I'm becoming a woman who's overcoming perfectionism. And I believe God has big things for you. And so when you join the masterclass, you get mentorship, right? You get the tools to learn to overcome these things that maybe have kept you stuck for so long. And you get community. And I hope that's really the thing that you take away the most, is that you're not alone and that we're all in this together. We haven't figured it out yet, but we're not where we were. And so we want you to join us as well. And that is where you can make an impact. You'll be reminded of God's truth, and that doubt will no longer have its grip on you. And so I will end with this. I heard a quote recently. It's from the Olympics, and I wanted to share it with you. And it says, you don't have to be amazing, but you have to start to be amazing. Ladies, it's time to start. Thank you.
Awesome. I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, because if you don't start, you can't be amazing if you haven't started. So thank you so much, Diana. I love that. And in case you're wondering, yes, it was Princess Diana that she was named after.
Princess Diana, thank you very
So
much.
she can proudly wear that crown. And so again, really looking at mindset. The whole idea of the 5 things that we're going to cover, mindset is the first one. And we're doing these in an order on purpose. When your mindset is straightened out, you're going to be able to do all the rest of the stuff. You're going to be able to process your spirituality better. You're going to process your, let me see, we have, see if I can do that. There we go. Your skill set. If I give you a bunch of skills and you're messed up in your head, so we're starting with mindset. And the whole idea of mindset is really looking at, do I operate out of the facts or am I operating out of feelings? And so thank you, Diana, so much for doing that for us tonight and for sharing with us. Fantastic. You did a great job. And one of the things about, the ladies in the masterclass is that I do give them the opportunity for speaking to perform their speaking opportunities. Gosh, one of the things I get to let the ladies do is give them opportunities to speak and practice what they've learned. And so this is one of those opportunities. And so I'm just really, I'm amazed as I listen to everybody's stories. And so one of the things we're going to do now is we're going to actually do a breakout session. But before we do that, I want you to, you're only going to get a few minutes to say who you are, where you're from, and then what is it that you need to be done with. So for me, I needed to be done with waiting. I knew I had this gift that I had to use, that I had to go and tell people. I had to be done with waiting. And so you just heard Diane. And Diana, can you remind us what you were done with?
I'm done with perfectionism.
Yes.
Done.
Yes. Yes. So you're going to, in your breakouts, we're going to do who you are, where you're from. So you're meeting new people, and then what you are done with. Okay. So be really clear. All right. All right. So next, we're actually going to have heart posture. So the idea of heart posture is really your relationship with God. And that's really having peaceful times with God, as well as really leaning into his call, embracing that, being able to say yes, having that enthusiasm, and being able to do that in your relationship with him, regardless of what anybody else says. And so I'm going to bring on Valerie. And what I really like about Valerie is she is a potter. And so she's going to come on and she's going to share with us for a few minutes. So everybody, please welcome Valerie to yeah, you need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Valerie McConnell. As one of God's princesses, I am a potter. a prayer warrior. I'm obviously an artist, and I am a aspiring writer. And most of all, right now, I am a fear overcomer. To give you a little background, or why I'm actually here, is actually a friend of mine talked me into signing up for this class. And you know what? When I signed up for it, I had no idea what I was doing here. COVID was here. I didn't have really anything else to do. So I said, why not? But I remember thinking when I got in there, what in the world am I doing here? Look at these other women. What do I have compared to them? I'm not a speaker. I'm afraid to share my faith with unbelievers. Don't put me in front of a camera. Look where I am now. Don't put a microphone in front of my face. And, do people even really want to know anything that I have to say? But I know that God had a different purpose and a plan for me with Elaine in her class. And I know that He has a purpose for each of you too. You are not here by accident, and neither was I. See, I knew that God wanted more for me, but I felt stuck also. I felt that I could not get myself centered into His will. I would try and try and try on my own, but I really couldn't. Nothing would work. And it was because I was trying to do all the centering. In Jeremiah, I think it's 18 verse 6, it says that, behold the clay in the potter's hand. So are you in my hand. And while I was partially surrendered to God, I knew who God was. I had faith. I didn't trust Him with everything about me. And so He put me in Elaine's class. You see, all my life, I played the part of the chameleon. Don't stand out, blend in. I didn't start. Oh, hold on. Don't blend in. Do blend in. Yes, I'm nervous. Can you tell? Anyway, and just fly below the radar. Don't give anybody anything that they can use against you. I sacrificed myself for what others wanted. What I ended up doing was I ended up separating myself from my feelings in order to save myself and avoid the hurt and the disappointment of feeling like, I didn't matter. I was insignificant. I was unheard. Through the masterclass, I learned that the enemy was using those lies to keep me ineffective. He had me going in a lot of different directions. My gifts were going all over the place. Nothing was really going anywhere. But yes, I learned that inner critic really was the enemy, and that I needed to combat that. I needed to let God into my life, to open me up so that He could fill me and He could work on me from the inside and the outside. I am done with listening to His lies. I am done trying to be like everybody else. I am done hiding in the shadows. I am getting rid of His lies, and I am learning God's truth about who I am and about who God says I am and who He truly is. I had a lot of misconceptions about God. He was too small in my book. He was distant. He was uncaring. He took care of the world and all that stuff, but did He really, really care about me? Even as a prayer warrior and intercessor, I saw Him answering others' prayers, but I really didn't see Him answering mine. But as the potter in the clay, He knew me, and He was very patient with me, and He slowly shaped me and prepared me and put me in a place where I could accept the teachings that Elaine had for me. I'm in the process of learning to accept, to truly accept who I am, to truly accept who God says I am, stepping out of my comfort zone, to see myself as God sees me, not as the lies that I have believed have led me to believe. Pastor Elaine has given me a safe place where I can play, where I can explore, where I can dig deep into who I am and who God is. A safe place where I don't work at, of all things, I feel safe. And those ladies that I felt so intimidated by in the beginning, some of them were pastors. They know a whole lot more than I do. They were so supportive and so encouraging that here I am today. I'm actually on camera with a microphone. Still a little scared, but I'm making progress. I'm moving forward. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. So I started this journey, a little over a year ago. And I'm now looking into my future, where before, no one ever asked me, what are you going to do later? What are your plans? What are your 5 years? Whatever. I didn't plan that far ahead. I was just trying to make it through each day. But now I set plans. I set goals. I'm dreaming. I'm thinking about the future. What do I want? I always sacrificed what I wanted for everyone else. But now I'm going, God, what do you want me to do? What do I want to do for you? How can I use the gifts that you have given me to achieve what you want me to achieve, to have an impact? So one of the goals that I have is to use my pottery, because the Bible says in several places about how God is the potter and we are the clay. And there's so many correlations between the way I work the clay and the way God works in our life. One which I really like is from, it's from John 15, which is one of my favorites, which is about abiding. It actually is about the vine and abiding in Jesus and having Jesus abide in you. So I think of it when you think of pottery, if Jesus is abiding you, he's on the inside of the pot. If you are abiding in God, he's on the outside. Now, a well-formed pot, the inside is to reflect the outside. And that is a lot of what Elaine has been working with me on, is what am I believing inside? What am I allowing God to do inside, aside from what I'm portraying outside? And so with even pressure to the clay on the inside and the outside, I start moving the clay up. I ease up on certain areas and I press harder on other areas. My rim is getting uneven. You can see it's a little wobbly. It has to do with how much the clay is cooperating with me. And this piece here is not cooperating too much. I've also let it get a little too wet. But the point is that I can tell what's going on with the clay. The clay can't tell. It can't do it. God has to work through you evenly inside and outside. So many times we allow God in, but he stays in the foyer. We don't let him come in and move the furniture around, to use another thing. We will let him work on our outside, but how much do we let him work on the inside? Several of the units in Elaine's class really addressed that. They were hard for me, but it was worth it. So as we continue, God and me, to work on us, there's never anything wasted. No matter how badly I may mess up, this clay may fall down and become just a pile, he can still rework it and make it new and fresh again. So in closing, and I'm sorry, my timer didn't start, so I'm not sure how long I've got here. Just in closing, I want to say that like the potter and the clay, if we abide in Jesus, see how wobbly this is getting? I'm going to stop this. Like the potter and the clay, if we abide in Jesus and allow Jesus to abide in us, he will shape us, he will mold us, he will create us to be unique, to be the unique and special people that we are. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
That is so awesome. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. What did you guys think about that? Was that not just so fascinating to watch? Yeah. So if you like that, man, type something in the chat. I just remember the first time when Valerie came in and we're like, please do that. And she's like, no. And it's like, come on, we just love to watch you watch and handle the clay. And just like, oh my gosh, it is just so fascinating. So thank you again for sharing that. And the reason why I chose her for this particular topic, which is really the heart posture, which is can I take what God has given me and lean into it and fight against kind of what Diana was, the mindset, right? And just say, I'm gonna really embrace what God has given me. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see the chat, Valerie, but they're like, so good. Love watching her. This really spoke to me, Valerie. Thank you, Valerie. Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing that. And let me see here. I wanted to I'm trying to stay on time. We're a little bit over, but that's okay. We're gonna survive. I want to tell you the story about the day that God made. So if you have not heard me tell this story, raise your hand. The day that God made you. Have you not heard the story? Okay, Beth, raise your hand first. All right. So I'm going to tell this story to Beth. So I'm going to tell you the story about the day that God made Beth. And all you have to do is just receive it. So you don't have to talk, you don't have to do anything, just receive it. So there was a day that the God that made the mountains and the trees and the oceans and the seas stopped everything he was doing. And he said, I think I'm going to make a Beth. And he thought about you. And he took the cells of your body and he swirled them in his hand, and he thought about the color of your eyes and the color of your hair and the shape of your toes. And he was so excited. He's like, angels, check it out. I'm making me a Beth. And they're like, wow, God, you never made anything like that before. And he says, no, Beth's different. Beth's different than anything I've ever made before. And the way she sees the world and responds to the world is going to be different than anything I've ever made before. And he thought about your favorite food and your favorite color and your favorite animal. And he says, this is good. This is Beth. I love you. I love you so much. Everything about you matters to me. The things that bring you happiness and joy, but also the things that bring you sorrow and pain. It all matters to me. And Beth, it's my hope for you, as it is for everyone, that when I put you in the world, that you have two parents that tell you every day how much you matter to me, every day. Now, some parents will do their job really well, and other parents not so much. And some parents aren't around, and sometimes bad people do bad things to good kids. And Beth, the world's going to come along and say, you don't look right, and you don't sound right, and you don't live here, and you don't know these people, you don't have this stuff. And every day, thousands of messages will bombard you. It might make you feel like you're not good enough for me, and it might get really hard for you to hear my voice and remember how much you matter to me. But Beth, I want you to know that every moment of every day, I'm right by your side. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, I will never abandon you. And I'm also these angels that can come and minister to you. All you have to do is ask, and we'll be right there. And Beth, I also want you to know that I will never be disappointed in you. Now, I might be disappointed in some things that you say, or some things that you do, or even some things that you think about. But I'll never be disappointed in who you are, because you, Beth, are exactly the way I created you to be. And I am your biggest cheerleader. And I am looking forward to seeing you again someday and welcoming you home and giving you a great big hug. And I hope you remember that every day for the rest of your life. Amen. So that's from Psalm 139. And it just talks about the intimacy and our challenge is, can we believe that? Can we receive that and believe that and walk in that every day in the truth of what was designed for us? And so we're going to go and do another breakout. And what I want you to do, again, you're going to be with different people this time and talk about who you are, where you're from, and what does the enemy try to tell you to keep you from being able to lean into everything that God has for you, okay? What is it that the enemy uses to keep you from leaning into what God has for you? Okay. All right, Miss Nancy, are we ready?
And so if you're watching this on replay, yay!
Yay! I just hope that if you're watching this on replay, I hope that you're like totally like enjoying this, because I just think it's so super fascinating just to watch the growth stories of people and hear where they came from and what they were thinking about before. And it inspires me. So one of one of the things that I enjoy reading the most is biographies and autobiographies of people who did that, who were like non-believers, and how they became believers, and then how they went and did wild things for God. It's like my most favorite thing to read, because it keeps me inspired to know that that's what we were designed for. And that's why I love this community, because we're all stretching ourselves. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have a time? Does it show a timer on your end on how
Yeah,
much?
they have about a minute and
Oh.
40 seconds.
I see it up on the top there. How awesome
Yeah.
is that? Yeah. Oh, it's good. They actually have a good size in each one.
Yes.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So the enemy uses against me. He says, you're going to look like a fool. That day, there was a day I was on the mountain and I was like so excited. I'm like, oh, yes, I'm all in. When I really understood that I was truly forgiven for the first time, I'm like, he really doesn't want to look at my junk anymore. And I really bought into that. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I heard the enemy. I heard the enemy. You're going to look like a fool. So every time I have that little, I'm going to look like a fool, I'm like, oh, the enemy's trying to stop me. And I'm like, yeah. So identifying that. That's one of the reasons why I picked this as the breakout, to really identify what does the enemy use against you so that you can recognize it when he's doing it. All right. So I want to know if there's anybody who enjoyed their breakout conversation. Yes. Anybody want to share something that they learned in their breakout session? Oh. They're like, no.
If somebody wants to, you could just unmute yourself really quick and just jump right in.
Yeah. And you got 30 seconds to tell us, what did you get? What did you learn about somebody or yourself about the way the enemy works?
I can share, Elaine.
Okay.
I learned I'm not the only one that can procrastinate.
What? I think that's so true. Awesome. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that so many of us think that we're too old to do what God has called us to do.
Good one. Yeah. So true. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Yeah, that's so true. So what I was sharing, because we're trying to record this, what I was sharing during the break with Nancy was that the enemy told me, you're going to look like a fool, because I was like sold out and like on fire and ready to run and go and do. And he literally in my ear said, you're going to look like a fool. So now every time I have that feeling of you're going to look like a fool, I go, oh, the enemy's trying to stop me. I'm going to lean in and press in harder, because that's the way he tries to stop me. When you recognize the way that he tries to stop you, you'll be able to then be able to say, okay, am I going to give into that, or am I going to give into God? And that's it's a really powerful tool to have. So Joanne's going to talk about skill set. So we've already covered mindset, right? That's operating out of facts, not feelings. Heart posture, following hard after God, and really leaning into him. And now we're going to go into skill set, right? What are the skills that we need to go and do and be who God has called us to be? So Joanne has a really unique story, and I want to, let me see if I can do this and do this. And so Joanne, I want to just invite you up and to share with us what God has laid on your heart.
Well, those of you who haven't been in a side breakout room with me, my name is Joanne Vineyard. I'm from Buena Vista, Colorado. Right now I'm an associate pastor. I'm also an evangelist, a part-time missionary, a worship leader, whatever God has me to do, that's what I am. And this class has been amazing for me. I learned a lot of things, and I didn't even get in at the beginning. I started in February. So these other ladies, some of them are way ahead of me, but I love a challenge. So, and Pastor Elaine and the ladies will really support you and stretch you. And I had a Bible college professor that told me that if you're a Christian, you need to be stretched, because we have a tendency to just want to stay where we are and not let God stretch us. And sometime when you're on with Veronica, she'll show you her Gumby, her flexible Gumby. So we have fun. As Elaine told us, God wants us to enjoy this world and to have fun. But in the skill set, there's a lot of things. Part of it is learning to make your message concise. I think I had a half a page written the first time she had us write something out. And then she keeps making you whittle it down till you actually have what you need to get your message across without saying so many words. And I do have a tendency to run rabbit trails. So she's helped pull my rabbit trails in some, maybe not completely, but some. Also, we need to have a clear expectation of the behavior we expect of the people we're talking to. They're not going to respond the way we want if we don't have an expectation of how we want them to respond. And as an evangelist and a missionary, I was aware of that, but this has helped me fine tune that. And when the one, I can't remember who it was that was saying that about being old. Well, I started that in my little group because I'm 76 and I'm probably the oldest one in the master class. But you know what? God showed me He's still got a lot for me to do. And through skill set, He's shown me that I can, even though I am my age, I can get on this thing and I can make a recording and I can talk and I can learn to make my message shorter, not longer, even though in Africa they can be longer, but not here. But a lot of what I learned started with Elaine telling me you shouldn't record in front of a white refrigerator. And I'm like, what? You can see the hair is sort of white. And so when I sat in front of a white refrigerator, all you looked at was the white refrigerator. You didn't see me. And I remember what she said. If you look at a painting, when you look at a painting, the first thing your eyes go to is the lightest area in that painting. And so if you have something really light away from you that's going to distract, don't do that. So she'll put up with a lot of things. Then I got a blue flannel sheet that hung up behind me. Well, it wasn't a white refrigerator anymore. And then I found a piece of African cloth with animals on it. So I put that up next. And eventually I found that it's not that expensive to get a green screen. And so right now I have my green screen on, except I forgot to tell my computer I have a green screen on. So it does some funny things. Not exactly what I want it to do, but still, even at my age, I'm learning these different things I can do to make my message more acceptable, because people are used to seeing people using all kinds of this stuff that we have that I didn't even know we had. I also bought a circle light for cheap at Walmart. It's amazing how you can get things reasonable. And all you need is a piece of the right color cloth, throw it over something, and you got a green screen. But when you're talking, she also, and I'm probably going too fast now, but she taught us to be, not to be so fast, that we can slow down, that we can be ourselves. We don't have to act, or one of the chat rooms I was in, we don't need to sound like someone else. Our speaking voice can be different than anybody else's speaking voice. And it's okay, because God made us that way. And I was like the other. When I got this in the room I was in, the story was told to me, my tears were running down my cheeks. And I told the last room that I'm the weepy person. So, but I found out I have somebody else now that's not going to be weepy, because I'm expecting you to join the class now. It'll really help you. And I used to wonder if I had a call anymore because of my age. And because I had always, or most of my life, had been in a partnership ministry where someone else traveled with me and we preached and sang together in revivals. And these ladies have helped me see that my call is not over. There they go. There go my tears. My call is not over because God called me. And nothing the enemy tells me, nothing, the feelings that I have do not count. It's only the truth and my believing the truth that counts. And I'm going back to Africa again. The ladies have, well, I won't say forced me, but helped me consider the fact that I'm going to do a devotional on hymns of the church, and not only do the devotional, but sing the song. So people hear them and hear their words and hear the meaning of those songs. And they've also got some other ideas running around in my brain that I never thought I could do any of this. I felt like, I was too old. I didn't know all this technical stuff. But I guess one of the good thing is I'm willing to experiment. I'm not stuck in my ways. I'm willing to try it. And if I mess it up, I call somebody that knows about the computer and say, hey, help me, help me. But would you believe that I was fine in front of an audience. I mean, I was great in front of, you could put 500 people in front of me and I was good. But you set me in front of a laptop, a phone, a camera, and would you believe I want to get really quiet? I guess you can tell I'm not quiet anymore. So, in fact, sometimes I think Elaine's sitting there going, Joanne, shut up. Joanne, that's enough. That's enough. No, you're not. Oh, good. But you know, when God has a call on your life and you get your mindset right and you quit believing the lies, as Diana said, and if you, like Veronica was telling us, you let God work from the inside and the outside and shape you into that person He's made you to be, but you're not accepting, and get your heart posture right. Then when it comes to the skill set, you've got something to do. You've got something to say. This class will help you make your message so concise. And just recently, Pastor Elaine was telling us, tell them what you're going to say. Then tell them. And then tell them what you said. And then expect a response. Tell them something that will make them give a response. Give them something to do. That's all part of the skill set. Because what good is it going to do if you preach a message and then say, okay, bye, good night, go home? No, challenge them, give them a challenge, whether it be you're preaching and calling them to come to Christ, or you're giving a message like Diana that God has shown me how to get out of perfectionism, and you're inviting them to come along. There's always something you can expect. And then you put that into words and invite them to come join you in that change that you had. When I first got my life straightened out, I was a very angry person and I didn't like people. And part of it was some of Elaine's type of thing, a childhood abuse that made me put up walls, and definitely didn't like people. Didn't want anything to do with them. And so I had all these strongholds and brick walls up. But when I found Jesus, when He got a hold of my heart, He took the heart of stone out and gave me a heart of flesh. And that's why you see the tears. But I know He can do that for anybody and everybody. And I will challenge them that anytime I give them that message, because God is waiting to make us exactly what He made us for, to give us the message that He has for us. And so I challenge you, join this class. It's my saying, try it, you'll like it. You'll be amazed at what God will do in your life, because we're all that song that the Gaithers made. I am something special. I'm the only one of my kind.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
And
there was like so many things that you talked about that we covered, and we do cover, like the skill set is like we have like there's tons of information in there that we cover. But to really look at, one of the things that she said was having an expectation for what your audience is to do. I don't care who it is you're talking to, whether it's your child, your neighbor, your church congregation, if you're a businesswoman, it doesn't matter. You need to tell them what you want them to do, and so that they get an opportunity. And what I've realized that people, like typically in the church, aren't really good at that, at saying, this is what specific behavior I want you to do, a specific behavior. And then you can talk about it next time and say, hey, so I asked you guys all to do this. How many of you did it? And you can call them on it. And it's not to be mean or rude or anything. It's just simply because you've given them a challenge and giving them then that opportunity to reflect on that challenge. So thank you so much, Joanne, for sharing that. So what I want to share with you right now is the most important sentence you will ever learn. Okay, the most important sentence you will ever learn is what I have scripted as my trademark talk. All right, so this is the way it goes. I used to be. So write that down. I used to be with a little blank. Now I am with a little blank. Due to, D-U-E, due to blank. I want you to blank. so that you can experience blank. So let me go back over that. I used to be blank. Now I am blank. I want you to blank. Gosh, you'd think as many times as I've said this, I'd get it right. I used to be blank. Now I am blank. Do to blank. I want you to blank so that you can experience blank. So this is really going back to what Joanne said. And you can apply this to any conversation where you want someone to take an action. Okay. Any conversation. So going to that specific behavior, when it says, I want you to, that needs to be a specific behavior. I want you to email me, call me, come to the altar, buy my product. So what I want, and a lot of people get that wrong. Like, well, I just want them to believe in Jesus. It's like, no, what behavior? I want them to pray a prayer of faith, something super specific. Okay. And the very first part is that being able to say, you're trying to identify with the person that you're talking to. So the example that I use for kids is, I used to have a messy room. Now I keep my room super clean due to the fact that when I was younger, I had a moldy pizza under my bed. And when my friends found out, they wouldn't come over, and they didn't like me anymore. And I want my friends to come over. I want you to keep your room clean so that your friends want to come over. Okay. So the end result is something that they desire. There should be a common thread in that end result. So if you use this in Sunday school, so I'm actually doing this almost same exact talk tomorrow for my denomination's discipleship ministries for the nation. And having this, it's like, okay, because they're mostly church workers, right? So when you teach a Sunday school class, you say, I used to be ignorant about the Old Testament, but now I love researching the Old Testament due to understanding how it relates to the New Testament, and how my faith then is flourishing because of that. I want you to love the Old Testament so that your faith can flourish too. That end result, what you want them to experience, needs to be something that they want to experience. Okay. And so the beginning of that then can be adapted in any way that you need to in order to make the end result true. So it can be really anything. So I hope that made sense. So you can say who you used to be. So I used to be a frustrated pastor and therapist, wasn't really making any headway. And now I'm actually a trainer for Christian women leaders due to understanding how to use tech, but also understanding identity abuse and how to help people get freed from that. I want you to join my masterclass so that you can experience that freedom as well, and being able to live out what God has called you to. So getting rid of that frustration. So you can look at, what it is that who you're speaking to and the end result that they want. So now we are going to Nancy. Yes, did I get that right?
You did.
Like, man, I should lead better. Okay, and we're on time. Oh, yes.
Yes, we are.
That's because we have a special guest speaker coming and we need to be on time.
Yay. Yay.
All right. And so I'm bringing on Nancy at this time because we've gone from mindset to heart posture to skill set. And then what she's going to cover is pursuit. What do I do now that I've got all this? I got my mind clear, my heart's right with God. I've got the skill set. Now what? And I really want Nancy to kind of tell her story. And yeah, I'm just going to do that and let her do that.
All right. Well, hello. Oh my goodness. The people that I've shared so far, ladies, you have done absolutely amazing. And gosh, I am blessed by listening to all of you again. Oh my goodness. So I have my little crown on. I wanted to get a little one, and look at, I can't even get it on straight because I'm like opposite, but I wanted to put my little crown on because this is how I always felt. I knew I was a child of God, but I always felt very small in God's kingdom. And I felt like the messages, the things that I wanted to share that God was laying on my heart, were not really necessarily supported by the church in whole. I am a pastor. I'm a Nazarene pastor. And even in the environment of a denomination that accepts women pastors, I still felt out of place. I really struggled because I knew that God had placed a message in my heart. I knew that there were people that I needed to reach. I knew who my who was, and I was ready to share that, but I didn't know how. I mean, I had the skill set as far as like how to say it, what to say, the heart posture. Lord, I'm ready to be used by you. I had the mindset, I was ready, but there was this wall that was kind of there that was really not allowing me to take my message forward from that point on. And I went to several. It took me a while to join the master class. I think Elaine was finally like, it's about time. I was one of the later ones, but when I did, I realized that there were so many other areas that I still needed to work on, and for my mindset, my hot posture, everything to get me really ready. And she gave me the confidence to take a step forward that I never dreamed I would do. I had preached in front of a congregation before. I had done a little bit because of COVID. I had done a little bit of online stuff, but I hadn't done a whole lot. And through the training that I received from Elaine, I was able to take that and then get additional training on what I really wanted to do. Okay, I'm taking this thing off because it's driving me crazy. As I'm pulling my hair out. But yeah, as I was going through this whole process, the Lord really placed it on my heart that he wanted me to start my own ministry. And so I went ahead and developed, it's called Reignite Your Heart, where I speak to to women, mainly Christian women, in order to get that fire relit within their hearts, that, they have a relationship with God, but they really are not pursuing that any further. It's like, I have a relationship, I love God, but it's kind of mediocre, and I know that God wants more from me. And so I developed this ministry, Reignite Your Heart, because of the skills that I learned from Elaine. It's been absolutely amazing. And I have my Facebook group now, and a whole bunch of other platforms as well, but mainly Facebook is my biggest following. And I have probably about, oh gosh, it's over 3,000 people that are following me right now. It's absolutely amazing what God has done with it. And it's such a blessing to be able to sit there and say, okay, you know what? I know I have to continue to pursue this. It was burning so deep in my heart that I could not get away from it. Absolutely could not get away from it. I had to do something with it. And so I continued just to go after it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and got for the training that I needed to do in order to make this possible. And God is blessing it. He 100% is blessing it. And it's nothing that, it's not mine, it's completely the Lord's. And if you just open your heart, so if you know you have a message that's burning in your heart, but you're scared to share it, hello. If you're scared to share it with others, if you gosh, just you have that self-doubt, and you're listening to the lies of the enemy. That's where Pastor Elaine comes in, and she's like, no, what's true, you have to focus on what's true. And so if you were anything like me, you have that burning in your heart that you just know you have to get that message out, and so you just go for it. You go for it because you know that it's something that God wants you to do, and he's going to make it possible for you to accomplish. He's going to make it happen. And as he makes it happen and you see it happening, oh my goodness, what it does in your heart, it blows me away. It completely blows me away how good God is and how he continues to push me even now. I'm like, oh boy, there's times I'm just like, no, I'm done. I'm good. I've done my part. And he's like, no, you're not done. And so he pushes me a little farther and a little farther and a little farther. But through that, I've been able to share everything that God has for other women, and it's not about me. It's about the people that need to hear the message that you have. There are people out there that need to hear the message that you have. You have a message. Every single one of us has a message that God has given us. And so we got to continue to pursue that and push forward into that, so that those people can hear what God wants them to hear. You know, you're going to reach different people than I'm going to reach. And it's amazing to see, as we come together and share that message, what God begins to do through it. And it is just so exciting. And so I just want to encourage you all that if there is something that God has placed in your heart, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Continue to pursue it, knowing that God is going to be the one that's going to fulfill. God is the one that's going to be the words. God is going to be the one. He's the one that's going to anoint you to say what needs to be said. And he's going to bring the people to you that need to hear it. And it will bless you beyond. And you will know that it's all from him, that is not of you. And that's, I think, the best part of it. You know, if you told me I was going to be doing all this stuff, I've been like, oh no, not me, not me. I was the quiet, shy one that did, you know, is scared of my own shadow. And now I'm like, okay, God, I'm yours. I just surrender to you. I'm yours, and I'm ready to do your work. And when you do that, oh my goodness, the blessings that come from it, you will not regret it. You will not regret it. But you can learn so much from Elaine's masterclass in order to continue to pursue this. And I'm continually growing. Like, it's a continual work of progress, right? It's like, man, I just need Elaine to keep reminding me, up. What did you say? She reels me back in. It's like, oh, that's right. Okay. You know, I need that. I need that accountability. And so it's amazing to have that with Pastor Elaine. And so that is my encouragement, and my challenge to you is to sign up for her masterclass, and also to pursue the message that God has given you. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let anything stop you, because that's the enemy. The enemy wants to stop you. And so don't allow him to stop you. So that is what I wanted to share with you all tonight.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I you know, because, and I am so proud of really just, I mean, like she said, like Nancy said, when you first came on, you were in the KY group for quite a while, and you kind of wanted to, and you just weren't sure, and you were really, and you had some personal issues. I shouldn't say that. You had some issues that were, you know, outside, you know, some, you know, extraneous issues that were going on in your life. And you came in, and you were like, you were at a point where you were like a sponge, and you needed to receive. Mm-hmm. But you took that and you said, I'm now going to go and expand. I mean, you didn't just sit with it. And it's one of the things that we focus on the most in here is transformation. When we talk, we want to see transformation. We don't want to just educate people. And that's what you did. Absolutely. And you said, I'm going to run with that. And so you did. You went on and got some other education beyond what's inside the class, and you applied that. And you've just done amazing, amazing things. So thank you so much. So everybody give her a mighty round of applause. Yes. Nice. Okay. Let's see here. Awesome. And so, yeah, because I've been journeying with these ladies for a while, this is so much fun for me to just watch the transformation. And so let me go back here on my notes. I have too many pages of notes. I'm trying to. All right. One of the things that Nancy had to learn, and I had to learn the same thing, is who is your audience? Who is your audience? So I did some speaker training, and I paid a ton of money to do speaker training. And I really wanted the trainers to go, wow, you've done so well. They never did. They never did. Occasionally they would drop like a little bit, but I was like working so hard. So it's like, I need your approval to tell me that I'm good enough. And then like my particular denomination and structure, I was like, you know, I'm doing this. And it's like, I never got that validation. So I was actually chasing validation, and I was chasing approval rather than chasing the audience that needed to hear my story. So that's why you guys might have seen that post. Don't chase approval, chase the mission. Okay, chase the mission. So if God gave you a mission, go and run after that mission. And he will empower you to be able to speak to the people who need to hear you. And that's why we are the body. We have hands and feet and eyeballs and ears in this room right now. And being able to say we're all, as the body of believers, going to go out into the world in various places in different ways to be able to share the message in unique ways. There are people, and people have been putting this in the chat, who need to hear what you have to hear. And there's I think I posted this somewhere. It's like you have a moral obligation to share what God has put on your heart. And somebody said, is that a way to shame me? And I said, no, it's a way to motivate you. So you get to decide how you perceive that. Can you say, wow, there's people out there that need to hear this, and I'm going to go find them. And it can be exciting in a passionate pursuit, or it can be oh yeah, I got to go do this thing. But when you focus on the end result of what someone's going to be like after they have received what you have given them, you will do just about anything. When you focus on the end result of what that person's going to be like after they've received what you've given them, you will continue with that motivation. That's why I share that story with the day that God made you. I got to share it this morning with a lady in London who's speaking in the KY group later in the month of August, and she just wept, you know. And that's why I do it over and over and over again, over and over and over again. It gives me that desire and that willingness, that passion to continue doing that, because I know the end result of me doing that is so powerful. So
Elaine, can I just add something really quick onto that? Yeah. Because I did mention how many followers I have, but it's not a number thing. That I wanted to make sure and say that I had made the commitment way back when I first started doing this. If I had one person listening to me, just one, then it was worth me setting my message out. It's not a number game. It really isn't. God's going to lead you to the one, and that just be obedient to the one and let God do the rest.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here. And so we're going to go do another breakout. And I want you to think about, when you go into your breakout room, who is your audience? If you had to pick who your audience is. Now, if you're in a church and you're the pastor, you have a constricted audience of those who happen to be in attendance when you talk. But then you can also say it's the area around your church. It could be, a mile out around your church, but you get to pick who is your audience. The clearer that you understand who your audience is, the easier it's going to be to find them, and it's going to be able to tailor your messages to them so that they will take action on what you share. So during this breakout, I want you to tell people again who you are, where you're from, and then also who your audience is, if you've defined that. And if you don't know, you can kind of chat about that too. All right.
Hopefully you guys all have your invite showing up.
Yeah, so Lisa said that she wasn't because she's on her phone. You like this little flippy?
Well, mine was like, it kept falling in my face.
Well, I thought you were going to bring on like a full-on crown. I thought you were going to go, yeah, I brought my little crown because of this.
Oh, I should have, but yeah. I only have one.
And you're going to bring on this like full-on crown and go, but now I'm a daughter of the
now.
Yes,
so true. See, I should have done that.
Yeah, that's okay. I just naturally assumed that you were going to, you said, well, I brought my little crown because this is what I used to think. And then I thought you're going to be like this massive thing and go, but this is what I believe now.
I should have. See, now I'm all sad I didn't do. Now I'm gonna have to do
but you did good. And again, I think that the transformation journey. And so for those people who are watching the replay, again, it's the transformation journey.
Absolutely.
We are all growing. We are all learning. Even the people who are running this. So Nancy, this is your first time hosting at this capacity, right?
Yes.
And, yeah. And so I'm going to be my virtual assistant. I'll pay you to be my virtual assistant for this particular event. And we did a tech check yesterday and kind of muddled our way through it. And she poked around on stuff and she's doing it. And all the ladies that are participating, they have never done something to this capacity where we're actually all participating like this. And they were very nervous, but you got to hear their stories and speaking through the nerves, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be able to say, what is true? What is your true story? And I say this all the time. Nobody can argue with your experience, and your experience is your authority. So if you're ever looking for,
let her joining us.
Yes, Miss Shanta. Her name is Shanta. Yeah.
Shanta?
If you're ever looking for your authority, your experience is your authority. Hey,
Hi,
we're in the middle of breakout sessions right now, and so we're gonna stick you in a breakout room, and you're supposed to say who you are, where you're from, and who needs to hear what you have to say. And if you don't know, you can say you don't know.
Great.
All right, here you go. There should be an invite for you.
Yeah, Shanta is a very, very, very dear friend of mine who has journeyed with me through a lot of things. And she's like probably my, one of my closest.
I think I remember seeing her because, yeah, I think I remember seeing her. That's super cool. Wasn't she like in a coffee shop at one point or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Are you guys having fun?
Like I get a little remote control.
Oh, that's great.
I think it's because you can put it like down farther and it could be like this, if you wanted to wear it in front, but if you have it up here, it's got to be this way. Yeah. Anyway, so really looking.
That's just so entertaining.
I forgot what I was talking about. That's really bad. About finding your audience and knowing your who, and really struggling with trying to get permission from people. And
I think that was my hardest thing, is finding my who. That can take a while sometimes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I really enjoy, I love it. I just love what I do. I love listening to your stories, and to think that I had a hand in that. I mean, like every time I hear you guys talk about it, it blows my mind. It's like, wow, I actually had it. I get to do what is fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the result of that. And that's what we were talking about, how this is like all new for,
yes,
everybody. And we're all stretching and growing. And so, I really tried hard not to make this webinar a pitch for the masterclass. Like, I didn't want people to go, oh, it's just this long pitch and come join us. And then I wanted you to take away a ton of information. I wanted you to know that I'm an over deliverer, and I get condemned for that a lot by a lot of people. They're like, oh, you give away too much. I'm like, you know what? I just want to help. I want the kingdom to be changed, because we are dedicated to the call of God, and because we believe in Christianity and we're embracing that. And that's my mission. So I really hope that those of you who are watching the replay really genuinely are taking stuff out of this.
Yes. And I can vouch that is Elaine's heart. Like that is her heart. She's like, how much can I, what can I give? What can I bring to you? And absolutely.
Yeah, it's so fun, and it's stunning when I allow God to use me in this fashion, and I get to watch people be changed. It's just, so fun. So fun. Welcome back.
Just a reminder, if you guys can mute yourselves if you're coming back, that would be fantastic.
They're coming back.
Yes,
I was gonna talk earlier about Lauren Daigle's song that talks about the valley of dry bones, and in there she talks about, we will enter the valley unafraid. Enter the valley unafraid. We step into the valley unafraid. And I want you to think about, there's a difference between being nervous and being afraid. Okay, we can be nervous, but we step into the valley unafraid, because we know what God has called us to, and we're leaning into that specifically. So let me see how we're doing on time. Look at that. Okay, cool. We're on time. Yay. Okay, so does anybody want to share what they learned about who their who is? Did anybody get something something new, something that they Angie.
Oh,
were you unmuted on purpose, or were you going to share, or were you just like accidentally unmuted? Yeah,
I just forgot to mute myself coming back in. But I will say that there are 26,000 people in Nicholas County, where I currently live, and 60% of them say there is no religious affiliation. So there are a lot of people who need to hear about Jesus.
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, so she's got a goal of hitting 60,000 people next year. Who wants to root for her and pray for her for that? Yes, go girl. All right, who's next? Anybody else have an audience that they want to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
So I used to think that it was everyone. I've been learning a lot. So yes, so I have an age group, although I want to speak to any age, but my age group right now is 25 to 54. And this seems to be my demographic, like through my social media analytics also. And it's women who have heart hurts, who are not walking in freedom, who have been, have a past that's prevented them from being who God's called them to be. But deep down inside, they believe that they're made for something more. So that's my group. Women 25 to 54 who are held back by heart hurts, who deep down believe that they're made for more.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And again, I was the same where I thought, oh, but everybody needs to hear this. And people would say, oh, everybody needs to hear that. I'm like, okay, but I can't tell everybody. And the more that you narrow down your audience, like we said, you can then go find them.
Yeah.
And then you can tailor your message specifically to them. And then you'll be able to evaluate your success as well. Because if you're just putting it out there to everybody, there's no way to gauge that. Absolutely. Awesome. Anybody else have a, yes, Carrie.
Hi, I am also a Mending the Soul basic support group facilitator. So my audience is adult women who have survived abuse.
Awesome. Yeah, that is so great. And I love that. And then, and she's also planning on, I'm encouraging her anyway to become an art therapist. Yes. I keep telling you, oh, you can do it. Come on, you can do it. Yes. Yeah. So Carrie does wonderful art as well. And absolutely. All right. Anybody else have a audience that they want to share? Who is your audience? Okay. All hearts clear. I always wonder when people say that, are all hearts clear? Then I always feel guilty. It's like, oh no, is my heart clear? Okay. So next we're gonna go on to Miss Angie. And so again, we went over mindset, heart posture, skill set, and then pursuit. I'm going to go pursue those people who need to hear what I have to say. And then the very last one is lifestyle. How do I take all of that and create into a cohesive something, right? And in the masterclass, there's an area where we talk about your mission statement, your vision statement, your short-term goals, long-term goals, and really like processing all of that out. So this isn't like I'm going to create this lifestyle, I'm going to have a big yacht and all this. No, it's how do I take all of this now and create it into something cohesive and allow it to come to fruition. And I love Angie's story because she had a passion and was also in a situation that she was not being gifted that facilitation of that. And so I am really looking forward to her share and letting you guys hear how she overcame some of that. So Angie, please share.
Hi, friends. I'm Angie Wilson, and I pastor the Summersville Nazarene Church, and I'm chaplain for the West Virginia Nazarene Camp. And as I speak, I want you to listen for elements from Pastor Elaine's trademark talk, because that's how I shaped what I wanted to share with you tonight. So when I first met Pastor Elaine, it was through the to participate in the Speak Strong Challenge. And when I met Pastor Elaine, I used to lack confidence in my speaking abilities, and I didn't always take advantage of the opportunities that I had to share my message that God had given me. And I also avoided stepping out into new opportunities because I was waiting for permission from someone. Didn't really know who, but I was waiting for permission. And the Speak Strong Challenge made me realize that I needed a mentor who would help me overcome the barriers that were preventing me from sharing the message of hope in Jesus Christ. Now, two of my obstacles were imposter syndrome and fear of rejection. And through the topics that we discussed in family time, book club, and working through the guides in the Fishing for Truth Facebook group, I've experienced some real breakthroughs in those areas. And as Pastor Elaine continued to mentor and encourage us, she also challenged the limiting belief systems that I had, and she helped me find the voice inside of me and bring it out. Now, due to her help, I'm able not just to speak, but to speak strong with confidence, clarity, and conviction. And through Pastor Elaine's mentoring, now I am speaking regularly online on multiple platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And I preached 3 online revivals this year. My church services are broadcast live on Facebook each Sunday, and then I post them on YouTube. The messages I share have a broad range of viewers, including people from all across the United States, Canada, Africa, Bangladesh, India, and the United Kingdom. And my life and ministry have been deeply impacted by the ministry and training of Pastor Elaine and others in this group. And I've developed these strong bonds of friendship and community in being part of this sisterhood. And Pastor Elaine's Elite MasterClass has allowed me to hone my skills, create my trademark talk, and find my audience. And she also walks us through defining our mission and our vision, and to gain clarity as we drill down and really narrow those to very detailed specifics. I know my why. I have freedom from self-doubt. I'm a better communicator. I have a sense of urgency about the message that God has given me to share with people who need to hear about the transforming power of God and how their life can also be changed. And I know who my audience is. And I want you to stop waiting for permission so that, and put on your tiara. Wait a minute, I'm going to grab mine back. It was hurting my head. And I want you to enjoy what God is going to do in and through you on this journey. That's it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And can you tell them a little bit about the journey between when you first did your Facebook Live from the campground, the evolution that where you were at that moment, and then where you're at now, and you got 5 minutes.
Oh gosh, we were in the middle of the pandemic, and there was no ministry taking place on the camp. And so I said, oh gosh, we're going to meet at the pavilion. And I was preaching there. And Pastor Elaine says, well, why don't you do it on Facebook Live? I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if I can. I don't know what somebody would say. And she's like, you don't need to ask, just do it. So I did. And as I began to share those messages online, more and more people started watching. And then I started doing daily devotionals. And ultimately, I was the only ministry taking place here on the campground through all of COVID last summer. And then as a result of all of that, I ended up being asked to go and speak at the Summersville church. And then I was invited to continue and be their pastor. And so that's how I ended up as chaplain and pastor in Summersville. And I have now I have this calling to preach, and I can share that message online. And I have people constantly saying, hey, I listen to your message regularly, or man, I love those devotionals that you share. They really keep me going. And so it has made a tremendous difference to me, being able to share that and know that it's changing people's lives.
Yeah, and so I think that's like one of my favorite parts of your story was because I remember saying, go live on your personal profile, and you're like, well, what if I get in trouble? And I'm like, if you get in trouble for preaching from your personal profile, there's a deeper problem. And then you said, and then I remember you saying this, I actually run the campground Facebook page. Maybe I could do it from there. I'm like, yeah, do it. And there was a part of me that's like, well, personal profile, I would have done that first, but you're like, oh, I could do that. And then you did it. And then I just looked at what happened after that, because you had wanted to be in the ministry. You had this heart and desire to, it had been many years. And now I just look at where you're at now and I'm like, oh yes, just again, it's taking that intelligent risk, right? It's just like, you're just like doing stuff, but taking an intelligent risk to go do what God has called you to do in a new way, in a new platform to actually get you. So it's almost backwards if you think about it. A lot of people say, well, I have to do online ministry because I can't do in-person, ministry. And so they'll just resort to that. But you actually utilize that to go back to where you really wanted to originally. And so just watching that journey for you is just like, I tell people about it all the time, like, yeah, she did this, and and guess where she's at now? And they're like, oh, it's amazing. I'm like, I know. So it's been so much fun just watching that journey.
Well, and getting to preach in the online revivals, and now I have a pastor in Bangladesh who wants me to preach to his congregation using online technology. So I'm pretty excited.
It does. It just continually opens up more and more doors. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thanks.
Your journey is just always so encouraging for me. Let me see if I can do this here. And so I did mention that tomorrow I'm doing like the same thing for our denomination, but then on Friday and Saturday, I am doing it for a seminary in Central America that covers 4 different countries. And that blows my mind. I don't say that to be boastful. I say that because I would have never, ever done anything like that had I not taken, again, that calculated risk to say, I'm going to go do something new, do something different. And they actually, I talked to the lady this morning, they're doing a voiceover. So I submitted my talk about a month ago and they got some Spanish speaking translators to translate it. And then they did a voiceover. So one of my friends actually is doing a voiceover my entire sermon. And I kept asking them, why do you want me when I don't speak Spanish and I'm the only non-Spanish speaking speaker and I am the final speaker of the entire event? And it's because my message, I got to the place where I could tell the message that makes a difference in an effective way to where people want to translate it into their country's language. And so again, the more time that you take of taking those calculated risks and saying, I'm going to take that opportunity. So one of the things that Angie said was, I avoided opportunity waiting for permission. And I say, if God gave you a command, don't wait for permission. We need to be able to walk in that confidence every single day and move forward in that every single day. And so thank you, Angie, again, for just that. I just love hearing your story. Absolutely love hearing your story. And we're actually early. Oh my goodness. All right. So so our guest speaker, so we have a guest speaker coming on. We have 12 minutes and I don't know how many of you heard who our guest speaker is. Okay. So I don't know how many of you know who Bob Goff is, but he's actually going to hop in here and chat with us. And so hopefully you guys can stay on as he shares, but we did want to, Nancy.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Pastor Elaine, this has been absolutely amazing. How many of you guys have just feel blessed by what you have heard and been a part of tonight? Just, yay! For me, it's just been huge. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. But we do have a special additional takeaway for tonight. And Pastor Elaine, I want you to go ahead and share what this amazing gift that you're giving us is.
Well, so we do have another PDF that we're going to drop. And so we talked about the trademark talk, and some of you guys may have had this before, but it's actually a fill-in. So Nancy will drop that into the chat. And this is for people, because I wanted, for those of you who actually came on and stayed, I wanted to bonus the people that came on early for showing up on time, which is why we gave the Amazon gift card away. And then to bonus those of you who actually stayed for the entire time. And so this actually gives you the trademark talk outline. It gives you the sample and then really kind of clarifies each one of those steps. And then also has the 6 questions for crushing imposter syndrome. Now, this is something that I did on Clubhouse. I would go on Clubhouse and I would just ask these 6 questions and walk people through the process. Now, if you don't know what Clubhouse is, it's an audio only platform. So there's no video. And I would actually tell the story about the day that God made you, and people would give me money, even though they only heard it audio. They didn't see the video of me doing it. It was really interesting. And so I started asking these 6 questions to help people process their imposter syndrome. And one of the ladies that came on the room one day, she said, do you have this copyrighted? And I said, no. And she goes, well, I want to give you credit for it. I want to use it with my clients. And so I went and published a book the next day to be able to, let me see, sorry about that, send that back to her so it would be copyrighted. So you're going to get a copy of those 6 questions, and the basic process of those 6 questions really help you with mindset. So when we go back to the original things about mindset, about how to be able to walk in the truth, not how you feel. And the first question is something that I can't remember which speaker tonight said about it, about imagine a day when you're freed from all self-doubt. Imagine a day that you're freed from all self-doubt. What would you see? What would you notice? What would be specific things that you would see when you are freed from all self-doubt? And have a clear picture in your mind, because then as you go through this entire process, you're going to know where you're ending up. You're going to know when you get there. You're going to know if you're off track to get to that picture. The next question is, what is the most negative thing that rolls around in your head all the time? And again, when you go through this process of questions, to really focus on practical answers, because you don't want to get yourself all emotionally bound up in this. It's just really practical answers. What is that thing that you hear all the time? You know, I'm not good enough. I'm going to look stupid. I don't know enough. Other people are better than me. I don't have all the skills that I need, you know, all that kind of stuff. And to find the one that's most common for you. And the hardest part through this process is really looking at what is the specific event that created that thought in your mind, the first time that you ever remembered thinking that thought, the very, very first time. And when you get to that place where you say, okay, I'm going to really look at the picture and have that picture, because people say, well, it happened often. It happened. I said, but I want you to go back in your childhood, go back as far as you can to the first time you ever remember thinking that thought and what was happening in that moment. And then you take your adult self you into that moment. And it's just been so fascinating. So I don't want to go through all the 6 questions because they're kind of clarified. They're actually in that in the printout. But one of the things that I didn't add on that PDF is really staying in your own lane. Do you know what your lane is? Know what you know. And I want you to write this down. Know what you know and why you know it. Know what you know and why you know it. Either you learned it, or you avoided something, or you lived through it. It's one of those 3 things. Either you took education classes and you learned it, you avoided it. So I know how to avoid getting hooked on drugs because I avoided getting hooked on drugs. Or you lived through it. I can help you not get hooked on drugs because I lived through getting hooked on drugs, right? So you've either learned through it, lived through it, avoided it, or educated. So know what you know, why you know it, and then know what you don't know. Know what you don't know and be okay with it. Know what you don't know and be okay with it. And then just tell people, yeah, I just don't know that. And I'll go find somebody who does know that and help you and give you that information, or, see if I can find somebody who knows that for you. And just know that not everybody knows everything. And the other thing that was really interesting is to be able to understand that you had to learn everything that you know. Everybody had to learn everything. So when you say, I have a message and I don't think anybody wants to hear it, it's like you live right now and you have tons of knowledge, and there's people everywhere who have not learned a lot of what you already know based on age alone. Okay. So know what you know why you know it, know what you don't know, be okay with it, and then stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane. I don't know if you saw that, that post that I did that said, stay in your lane and run like Kermit. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. When Kermit's like running down the road like this, and it's like, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be authentic, right? So you just stay in your lane and just run hard. And so hopefully, again, really looking at know what you know why you know it, know what you don't know, be okay with it, and it's stay in your lane and run hard. All right, everybody get that? Somebody type that in the chat for me. Yeah, so there's the PDF for this. So again, it's the 6 questions for crushing imposter syndrome, and then the trademark talk outline. And so that is your stay on bonus. And we have one more stay on bonus. We have a guest speaker who's joined us in the room. Yes, Mr. Bob Goff. And so for those of you who don't know Mr. Bob Goff, I want to I got his people to send me a bio so that I can let you know a little bit more about him. And so Bob Goff is the author of the New York Times best-selling Love Does. It's a must-read, Love Does, and Everybody Always. And his latest book, Dream Big, was released in June 23rd. And I'm 82%, according to my Kindle, done with that book. Yeah. So I thought if I'm going to be with the guy, I probably ought to like have read his books, right? And he is the honorary consul to the Republic of Uganda, an attorney, and the founder of Love Does, a nonprofit human rights organization operating in Uganda, India, Nepal, Iraq, and Somalia. He is a lover of balloons. Who loves balloons? Yes. Cake pops. Who loves cake pops? Yes. And helping people pursue their big dreams. Bob's greatest ambitions in life are to love others, do stuff, and most importantly, hold hands with his wife, sweet Maria Goff, and spending time with their amazing kids. And for more about him, if you want, check out bobgoff.com and lovedoes.org. And so thanks, Bob, for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. We've already had like 2 hours of just like really focusing on mindset and heart posture and skill set. And just as Christians leaning into really the passions that God has put into us as a unique person and as women, and trying to overcome the things that the enemy puts in our way. And so I know I asked you to share something, but I want you to share whatever God has put on your heart. And I want to invite you up to please share with us. Let me see here if I can.
You bet. Are you hearing me? I feel
yes, you sound great.
Place not wearing a tiara.
Well, we are daughters of the King.
Oh, you guys are crushing it. Well, I'm so glad to see all your smiling faces, and great to be with you. So I'm Bob. I live in San Diego. I'm talking to you from my garage. I write books. I put my cell phone number in the back of the book. Check this out. I think somebody's calling right now. Check this out. Hello, it's Bob here.
Hi.
Hey, what's up? What can I do for you?
Nothing much. We just have a Bible study. We're from Minnesota, and we're just wondering, like, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Best piece of advice. It wouldn't be advice. It would be somebody telling me their experience, because there's a lot of people that give advice that don't have any experience. I'm planning to sail. I've sailed across the Pacific 2 times, and there was a guy telling me all these tips about sailing across it. Next time he said how I should do it, what I should carry. And I said, are you a sailor? And he said, I've never left Ohio. So we had all kinds of opinions, just didn't have any experience. So ask people their experience. Listen, I got to jump off the phone. I'm on this call with some folks, but I'm really glad you called in. Have a great night.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya. Okay. So I put my cell phone number in the back of 2.5 million books. And I just don't send people the voicemail. Is that crazy? I get 100 calls a day. It's crazy. I can't get a thing done, but I'm never the smartest guy in the room, but I try to be the most available person in the room. And so I would say in leadership for you, among the things is I want to be this idea of like the most available. In some faith communities, they'll have designations for people, and they say this is like the lead pastor. Like, can you imagine somebody saying I'm the lead disciple? I'm not poking the bear, but well, I guess I am. But what I want us to do is just be available, like make that what you're known for at the city gates. And I think there's something beautiful about that, because then everybody feels welcome. In the Benedictine tradition, there's a job, and it's called being a porter. And I thought a porter was like a Sherpa that carries all your stuff up Everest. But a porter for the Benedictines would go down to the gate every morning and greet strangers and say, how can I help you on your way. So I would say that's very much what I want to spend my time doing. And it doesn't start across an ocean. I spent yesterday in Afghanistan's embassy with their folks, because there's a big concern that Afghanistan will fall to the Taliban. 85%, 400 districts have already fallen. And so the major cities will be the focus after 9/11 with the official pullout date. And so there's just a lot of concern. I operate schools for girls there that the Taliban won't let learn how to read, but we're like, man, forget it. We're just not going to give girls books. So it's created some concern both inside the country and outside. And I just want us to be the ones that do like courageous things, not courageous so other people will identify that. But in the book of Acts, it said they met these folks. They were just unschooled, ordinary people, but it said they could tell they'd been with Jesus because they saw their courage. And so I want people to know you've been with Jesus, not because you're the lead, whatever. So cracks me up, but that you're like the actual person following, that you say like, I don't know, man, I'm not trying to figure out titles. I got a bunch of initials after my name. I couldn't even tell you how many states I'm licensed to be a trial lawyer in, but I win arguments for a living, but I'm not trying to be Jesus's lawyer. Not even close. I'm just trying to be available. So when a group of people at a Bible study in Michigan calls, I say hello. Did you feel like that was like super rude that I took somebody's call? Like,
No, not at all. I think you're modeling that authenticity. Absolutely.
Yeah, just be available. Like, so I would just say that, just like just an unreasonable level of availability, and then just see what happens. What'll happen is you'll probably change. What you'll probably do is you'll probably meet a couple people. You'll meet people every once in a while that are still working on their people skills. I am. But to not say the first thing that comes to mind, maybe leave that in the cloud bubble. You know, when you see a cartoon and there's all these like hashtags and circles and all that, it's probably not words like beauty and peace and love, but to like kind of leave that in the thought bubble and do this stuff. I've met plenty of people that want to go to the end of the earth with this message, but they won't go to the end of their street. So I love the idea, especially to a lawyer like me, that Jesus said, love God with your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor. Those of you that know me see me wearing this stupid Boston Red Sox hat, and I'm not a baseball fan. I've never gone to a game. We have a major league team in San Diego, evidently. Who would know? But my neighbor Carol was a huge Red Sox fan. And so we actually had lived in the house where she was living. We sold it to her. And she was just this amazing gal. And she was a widow and had moved here to be a little closer to family. And so when she moved in, I would call her up on the cell phone and just see how she's doing. And one day she answered the phone and you could tell she was a little bit anxious. And I said, like, Carol, what's up? And she said, I just got back from the doctor and I got some bad news. I have cancer. And I could just tell she was so terrified with this diagnosis. And so I told her to sit tight, and I ran to Radio Shack because they hadn't gone bankrupt at the time. And I got us 2 walkie-talkies, and I put one in her bedroom and I put one in our bedroom. And for the next year, we would talk on the walkie-talkies. The first time I called her up, I said, hello, Carol. You have to make that sound. And she said, Bob, is that you? I'm like, who else would it be? But here's the deal, like the walkie-talkies didn't fix her cancer, but she wasn't afraid anymore. That's what availability will do. It just will make you so you aren't afraid of all the things around you. I think one of the things that you can bring to the people that you love the most is the most availability. And we have a parade on our block. We don't think this idea of loving your neighbor is a metaphor for something else. We think it really actually means you can do stuff across an ocean, but do stuff right here. And so for 25 years, I'm older than dirt. For 25 years, we've been having these parades on our block. And the first year we just had, like, it was me and Sweet Maria and our 3 kids. And we just started at the end of the block and we waved. And our block is only 8 houses long. But every year, more and more people came in. And the only rule for the parade is everybody has to be in it and nobody could be watching. Isn't that great? So everybody now gets in the parade. Now, I think maybe 800 or 900 people show up for the parade. And by the time we line up, we're already at our house. We like take a step forward and be like, Opa. So this whole idea, we pick a grand marshal and we always have a queen. And I think the average age on our block is mid to late 70s. And so we pick usually one of the little old ladies to be the queen. These days, I guess you could pick a dude, but we pick one of the ladies to be in the parade. And Carol was our queen. And when she goes to the grocery store, it'll take a half an hour just to get some bagels because people stop her and say, Your Majesty, and they talk to her. Getting gas takes 45 minutes. And Carol was the queen of the parade. And we were wondering if she would make it for one more parade with this diagnosis. And she was going downhill pretty fast. We went into her bedroom on the day of the parade and we picked her up and she was just too weak to get outside. And so we put her in the front, this big picture window that she has in front of the house. And what she didn't know is I changed the parade route and we all went right through her yard. And 800 people just walked by. And Carol sat in her chair, just blowing kisses goodbye to everybody. And then next day she went to be with Jesus. The day before, I'd made a deal with Carol. I said, Carol, I know you're going to be in heaven and you do as well by the end of this week. And so tell you what, I'll wear your Red Sox hat for the rest of my life and I'll represent the Sox here on earth. But in exchange, every time Jesus walks by you, you need to mention my name. There's that person I knew you not. I'm like, Carol. So what I want you to do is start right here by being available, like answer the phone call, hello. Like that's all you have to say. Because the people that call me really only have one question in mind. They want to know if it's really true. And they've heard all the Chris Tomlin songs. They've gone to all the Bible studies. They've heard everything you've said. They just want to know if it's really true. They have a sense of what you've been saying about your faith. And all you need to do to answer it, the entire gospel wrapped up in one word, hello. So why not do that? It's Matthew 16, and it's the big Simon Peter moment. Like, who do you say I am? And some said he was a teacher. And my Muslim friend thinks Jesus was a terrific teacher, and I do too. And some say you were a prophet, and he was actually an amazing prophet. My friends in the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan would agree with that as well. But then Simon Peter said, I think you're God. And the words of Jesus to him, don't tell anybody. For all my evangelical friends, mind blown. But I don't think it's to keep it a secret. It's show people, don't tell people. And I think the way that you show people, just unreasonable availability. I think you show them by walking across the street and saying somebody to find a creepy neighbor. And the crazy part is you're creeping them out. This is an intervention. All your loved ones have told me I have to break the news to you. But like, we're not as lovely as we think we are. And people think like men and women of faith are just whacked. And so you get to be the one that actually makes it super real. And it isn't by having a bunch of fancy doctrine. It's about having sound doctrine. Like I'm all with Paul talking to Timothy. Don't just tickle people's ears with a bunch of laughing moments, but instead to check everything against scripture. Galatians 1, even if an angel of heaven comes down and preaches a new gospel, just like run out of the room, but you won't know what's fake until you see the original thing. And those of you that have read any of my books know that I was a lawyer and I had this great big case, like $1 gazillion were up for stakes. And I worked on it for years and years and years and years. And when it was all, I maybe halfway done with this thing, I'd happened to go by this gallery. I'm not a big art guy. I'm like an Etch-a-Sketch guy. But I saw this painting, and it was called The Puppeteer. And it was this family all leaning in to see what the grandfather had made, this amazing puppet out of wood. And it was just kind of, it was like Pinocchio meets like, amazing art. And so I decided this was going to cost more than my first 4 cars. But I just decided, when I win this case, and I know I will eventually, I'm going to get that painting. And so it worked out great. The jury came back, and everybody else went to a bar, but I went to get my painting. And what they did is they gave me a fake. They said, here's the fake one. This is the one you put up on the wall, and the original you put in a safe somewhere. Like, you can't let the original out. Well, you tell me, which one would you put up on your wall, the fake one or the original one? Yeah,
Definitely.
all the way. Now, we have rubber band wars around our house all the time. Nobody's safe. Like, we got a lot of kids with one eye that works. And I sit in my chair and I look at the puppeteer painting. I've been doing this for a decade. And I looked one morning and the puppeteer had taken a hit, one right to the forehead. And you know what? I didn't like the painting less because of that. I liked it more. And I think that's just how Jesus feels about us. Of all the words he could use to describe you, he calls you beloved, even when you've taken one to the head, even when you've taken one to the heart. I think he just wants us to keep it real. And the best way I can keep it real is a life of constant interruptions. Just hello. You're one word away from being the gospel to people, because the gospel isn't just a bunch of doctrine, it's a person. And so the person is expressed in you. It's in a lot of letters that friends like Paul and the others wrote, but it's evidenced in you. And if you have as orthodox of a theology as I do, like I believe in a God that knows everything that has happened, everything that is happening, and everything that's ever gonna happen. But here's the crazy part: the angels don't know. Like, the angels only know whatever God tells them, right? So check it out in Matthew. He's like, tells an angel, go tell Joseph you're gonna be a dad. And just like watch the look on his face. Like, go tell Mary, who's 16 years old, she's gonna be a mom. Just check it out. Tell Joseph you'll be a dad in Matthew 1:23. You're going to be a dad. You will have a son, and you will name him Emmanuel. And then a verse later says, so they named him Jesus. Like, twins. Like, so we don't get anything right. But what I want to get right is this idea of availability. God with us, you with them, and no lead pastors. Just people that are just available to each other. We don't have like executive anybody insulating us from anybody. And when the disciples tried to, and remember they were trying to get all the kids in a line. He said, Jesus said essentially the new Bob version would be, help me, don't help me. Don't try to get the kids in a line. Just let everybody come to me. And the words to a kid after that, I'll tell you the truth, unless you change and become like a child, you'll never enter the kingdom of God. I thought you prayed a prayer. Evidently, there's more to it. A childlike faith. And those of you that know men that are childish, I don't mean childish. I mean childlike. You know who I'm talking about. So what I want to do is just to say, find that childlike faith. And I just delight in knowing that this great cloud of witnesses, right? Hebrews 12:1, that's watching us since we are surrounded. Let us run with perseverance. This race set before us, keeping our eyes fixed on Jesus. And knowing that the angels are dazzled. What dazzled God is obedience. It isn't just information, it's obedience. What dazzles the angels is you. They're like, I wonder what she's going to do now. That would be Hebrews 13:2, like to be kind to these sojourners, the person that calls you in the middle of a Zoom call, because you might be entertaining angels unaware. And so I just want you to dazzle the angels. And I know that you are. So keep it up. Keep up the good work. Keep staying together. God always does his best work down by the water and in community. So you guys are nailing it. So you guys should meet in Maui and you'd really nail it. Well, thanks for letting me come and visit for a minute. Blessings
No,
on
that
you
was
guys.
great. Thank you so much for hopping in and just again, just reiterating for all of the ladies, you know, the truth about their authentic self and that just being available as who they are is so powerful. And like you said, it could be just a word away from heaven for somebody, you know.
Wouldn't that be
Absolutely.
crazy? One word, just hello from you could like do that. But do you think that folks in Minnesota feel like, oh, wow, like that was cool. All I said is hello and I got to talk to you later. But there's something beautiful about making the time, like just being, love is just wonderfully inefficient. Like if you can think of an old boyfriend you don't have anymore, it's because he was probably efficient in the way that he loved you. He just fit you in between some golf game or something stupid. And you're like, see ya. So what I want us to do is like just do that extravagant, inefficient love, that version that you're already doing. Keep it up. Hey, thank you guys. Have a great night. Thanks for letting me come and say hi.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Everybody say goodbye.
Okay, see ya.
Bye. All right, you guys, that was just so wonderful. So I just want to thank you all for coming in here and giving me an opportunity to bless you with all of the knowledge that the ladies have. And I don't know if you had any other questions or comments. We originally were going to end at 6 o'clock with Q&A, but obviously when Bob volunteered to come in here. So Bob is my mentor, and when I go and get mentorship, I try to pass that information on, and he just volunteered. He says, hey, I'll hop in there for you when he found out I was doing the event, and just to bless you guys with everybody. Bless you guys. Bless everybody who, and I know, I hope you don't get offended that I say you guys. I say that a lot. I know sometimes that offends people. But I hope that it was just encouraging for you, that you took something out of today that inspires you to continue in the faith, to continue moving forward. And of course, we would love to have you join the masterclass. I need to let you know that it is only open until August 1st, 2021 at midnight, because when we start our new program and we actually walk through the program as a group, it's not content that you're just dumped in there and expected to figure it out on your own, but we do it as a group. And so we'd love to have you come join us. If you don't,
I do just want to make sure that everybody saw the link in the chat for the PDF file. So if you click on that, it'll open up in your browser and then you can save it in your browser.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure everybody got that.
And I just made that for you yesterday. Yeah. So I hope you liked it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let me see. Joanne, do you want to, did anybody have any questions? Any questions? Really quick, any questions? Okay. Joanne, would you pray us out, please?
Father, we come to you in the wonderful and precious name of Jesus. And Lord, we thank you that you love us so much, that you lead us in paths that can show us how to serve you better and how to do those things that you have made us and called us for. And we ask that you would help us take this information that we received tonight, take it to heart and apply it, not just listen to it, not just say that's good, but help us to apply those things that will make us better ministers for you, whatever our situation is. And Father, we will just give you praise and honor and glory for what you're going to do. We thank you for the vision you gave Pastor Elaine of identity abuse, and how she has just put this program together to help so many of us. And Lord, we know you have an even greater ministry for her. We don't know how or where, but we know that there's more. And we ask that you would just bless the work of her hands, bless each one of the ladies that was here tonight. Help us all to lean into our calling that you've given us. And Lord, just give us the courage to say no to the things we should say no to, and yes to the things we should say yes to. And we will give you honor and glory as we meet together, as we start these classes again, and hold each other up and just be cheerleaders for each other. And we'll give you praise, and we pray in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, ladies.